or Etsy. Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. I've had quite a few of you ask me lately about selling on eBay and Etsy, so I thought I would share my experience with that. First, eBay. I actually have more experience with eBay. There are a lot of different factors, so you need to look into it for yourself, but I was able to sell prints, I think 50 a month, or list 50 a month, at no cost. If the print sells, then eBay takes a portion of the actual final cost. This is for certain auction type listings and buy it now options. Back in the early 2000s, I was actually selling fairly well on there. Smaller pieces would sell anywhere from $50 to $150 depending on what it was. Since the market crash, that really hasn't been the case for me. It's been really, really hard to get anything to sell on there. The only thing that I normally list anymore are prints. For prints, I was selling maybe 1 or 2 a month at about $40 a piece. So it is some extra money, but I'm not making a living off that. But I also wasn't putting the effort into promoting it, so that's just something to keep in mind. The only real downside I find to listing stuff on eBay is that it's just time consuming to create your listings. Really, if you've got the time, definitely worth doing because of the free listing fees. You just have to watch how many things that you're listing a month. Added bonuses to listing on eBay, it is exposure. eBay ranks very high on search engines, so when you do list a painting, it's more likely to be seen on eBay than it is through your own personal website. One more thing that I really like about eBay, they are extremely strict and really follow the copyright laws. If someone tries to sell a Disney painting that they've done, it's going to get flagged and pulled down, which brings us right into Etsy, which doesn't do that. Etsy is supposed to be a place where you can sell your handmade items, materials, or antiques. In reality, Etsy is full of mass-produced products from China, and reporting these items to Etsy does no good. The real problem in having all of these items on there is that the things that are actually handmade end up getting lost in the crowd. Etsy's search engine, I don't like at all. I can type in, let's say I want an Italian Greyhound print, and it's gonna pull up anything to do with Italian Greyhounds, things that I'm not interested in. I just want a print, and it's showing me, here's an Italian Greyhound bracelet, here's an Italian Greyhound pillow, here's something that has nothing to do with Italian Greyhounds. Etsy's search engine, I just do not like. And they have filters on there, but the website in general just, in my opinion, doesn't function quite as well when you're searching for an item as eBay does. So that's a major downside with Etsy, is just that you do tend to get lost in the crowd. And the way Etsy works, you put up a listing, and that listing, unlike eBay where your listing is only valid for 10 days, with Etsy, your listing stays up for quite a long time, but it gets dropped down further and further on the searches. So if you want to keep bumping your item up on their search engines, you have to continuously relist the item. They charge every time you relist an item. It's only like 10 or 20 or 30 cents, something like that. It seems very, very low. But every time that you do that, and especially if you have multiple items, that gets very expensive. I never had real good luck listing stuff on Etsy. I think I would sell one print to 10 or 20 that I sold on eBay. Huge, huge difference there. Now, in fairness, I haven't even bothered selling anything on there in a long time, so I guess it could have changed. But when you do list stuff, it is, much like eBay, going to work best if you're promoting it yourself outside of Etsy, because it is so likely that you get lost in the mix of mass-produced items that were not handmade like the site is designed for. Another problem that I have with Etsy is that they do not follow copyright laws at all. You have so much handmade crap that someone has painted. Here's Edward from Twilight on a Converse shoe. With eBay, if that item was listed, they catch that stuff really, really quickly. With Etsy, even if you were to report it as being a copyright violation, they don't care. Unless the people who own the copyright come and complain, they don't remove the items. So not only is your work now being flooded with mass-produced items, it's being flooded with copyrighted items. So you're not really getting the value of original artwork on there. You're just falling in the mix of a whole lot of copyrighted things. If you're only listing a few things here and there, it's not going to cost you that much, so it may be worth it for you to try out. Ideally, with Etsy, if you're listing stuff, in order to prevent having to continuously relist stuff to keep bumping your listings, one thing that you can do there is post one new thing every day or two. So don't post all of your items you have available for sale on the same day. Spread them out. Post one a week or one every few days, whatever it is. And what happens is when someone sees your item, especially if they're all kind of related to each other, let's say you're doing paintings of Italian Greyhounds. When you post the one, if you post again a couple of days later, someone may see the new one and they're going to end up seeing all the stuff in your full Etsy store. Etsy has a little scroll thing where you can see other items in your store easily, so that is a nice feature there. So while I make it sound like it's bad, you have to relist everything every few days, if you just list one new thing every few days or every week, that does bump you on the search engines, and people will easily find your store with all of your other items. Either way, a lot of times you're going to be more likely to sell an item through eBay or Etsy than you would on your personal website, just because it is more likely to come up on search engines. Plus, you have seller feedback on there, and so if you have a good reputation, that is going to make people more comfortable with making a purchase from you than purchasing directly from your website. A few things you want to keep in mind if you're going to sell through either of these. First, you've got a lot of fees. You need to tack on whatever fees they're going to charge onto what you want to actually make for that painting or drawing. You have any listing fees, you're going to have any end seller fees. So once an item sells, both websites are going to take a portion of that sale. It's not a lot, but you still do need to account for that. Check with each site. I'm not sure how much they each currently take from final sales. You've also got PayPal fees. Most people are going to take payments and sell by PayPal, but PayPal does take a small portion of any payments that come through. So that's additional fees. Also, don't forget shipping fees. Shipping fees tend to be a lot more expensive than people realize. You're going to need to decide if you want to ship internationally. I personally don't do it anymore, with rare exception, because shipping international, the cost is insane. I shipped a painting several years ago to Canada, and I thought it would cost like $50 to ship it. Yeah, no, it was like $150. So I had to eat that cost. You need to be aware of how much shipping is going to cost for that item before you list it. For eBay and Etsy, I do think it's easier to sell much smaller things on those sites than it is the larger paintings. So I hope my little bit of experience on these two websites helps you guys out. I don't personally sell on either of these very often anymore, just because it's time consuming to make the listings. Even eBay, that's free, it still takes me time to set up each of the listings, and I'm very, very busy. So that isn't something that I do a lot anymore, but if you have time, I definitely think it's worth doing, because even if it doesn't sell, you're not out anything. If you guys have experience selling on either of these websites, whether they be good or bad, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Thank you for watching, guys. If you're new to my channel, I have video critiques every Tuesday where I'm critiquing your original paintings or drawings, my own speed paintings, drawings, and tutorials every Wednesday, social media tips for artists each Thursday, and new artist vlogs every weekend. So if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe, and you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all those fun social media websites. Links are below in the video description to keep up with news, my newest work, and see real-time clips of whatever it is I'm currently working on. I'll see you guys Tuesday.